I want to go across to a very special guest. Dr. Soumya Swaminathan is former DG of the Indian Council for Medical Research and former chief scientist of the WHO. Donald Trump, ma'am, says that paracetamol or Tylenol, according to him, is directly linked to autism in kids and that pregnant mothers should avoid this. Is there a valid scientific connection between the two, or is it a far-fetched connection to make?
So I think that the US administration and the health secretary in particular has been focusing a lot on autism. That seems to be one of their big concerns for the health of the American public. And so they have been looking at the evidence that's currently available in the literature. There are many studies, most of them are observational studies. Some of the studies show an association between paracetamol use in pregnancy and some neurodevelopmental changes, including autism spectrum disorder, an increase. However, these are associations, not causation. And some studies that have tried to control for factors like, there are genetic factors, there are obviously environmental factors within the household, other things. So there are studies that have looked at siblings. In one pregnancy, the mother would have used paracetamol, in another pregnancy, not. And when those studies have actually showed less of an association between paracetamol use and autism spectrum disorder. So I think what the FDA has done now with its recent the guidance that they've just put out is saying, let's take a precautionary principle. There could be an association. There could be links between paracetamol and autism. So let's limit its use in pregnancy. Let's use it only where necessary. So they've alerted physicians. And I think that the principle there is okay because we know that during pregnancy, one should limit drug use, any drugs. There should not be unnecessary use of any medication unless the doctor has prescribed it and there's a clear indication. We also know that paracetamol is the safest drug so far that we have for use during pregnancy for fever or pain. So we need to balance that. So where there is a need, a woman is suffering from high fever or severe pain and she needs relief, paracetamol is the safest option to go with. At the same time, one should avoid the overuse of any drug, including paracetamol. We should not just keep taking it for reasons which are not well, where there's no good indication.
So, many physicians, many doctors, including even, likes of obstetricians and gynecologists are saying that there is no scientific backing, there's no medical science backing to the use of paracetamol and the linkages to autism. Just like you said, it's not a causation. Many in the US are also of this opinion that this is just another sweeping statement made by President Trump. So how do you see that?
Right. Exactly. I think for the president to make an announcement like this, it should be based on much stronger evidence and research, and there should be a very clear guidance also that comes out. So such a statement, could actually just induce a lot of fear or panic amongst the people, which is completely unwarranted. Most of the medical bodies have spoken up and said that there is no clear evidence of the link, causal link between paracetamol and autism. So there's really no need to panic. And like I said before, for every medicine or vaccine, it's always a question of benefit versus risk. That's how physicians make a call. That's how regulatory bodies license drugs. So I think at the current moment, with the given state of evidence, there's no reason why we have to immediately stop using paracetamol. It's the only drug we can use during pregnancy for fever or pain. So I think we also have to look at the evidence and, the experts, the scientists and the doctors bodies, the expert bodies have all said that there is no reason to stop the use of paracetamol.
So some are also seeing, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, some are also viewing this as India being targeted once again by the Trump administration because India happens to be a global leader in the production of paracetamol. A lot of drug generic APIs are produced here in India, paracetamol being one of the leading ones there. What is your view on that? Is there more to it than meets the eye? Is this not just a medical guidance? Is this more also a sort of ongoing political, if not geopolitical guidance, motivated by geopolitical factors?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's got any link with that. I think it's, like I said, it's their health secretary is sort of obsessed with autism and finding out the reason and trying to make policies which would reduce the burden. But the problem is that the aim is fine, but the way in which it has to be done has to be very different. It has to be scientific. You have to take experts on board. You've got to review the evidence and then only make, especially for a drug like paracetamol, which is so commonly used. So again, for the president, to make an announcement like that is very surprising because it's not something that normally you would expect a head of state to talk about, unless there was something like during COVID, when you had every head of state talking about health, COVID, the COVID vaccines. You needed that political leadership. But this particular issue, particularly in the state of no conclusive evidence, I don't know why the president has chosen to target paracetamol during pregnancy. I would just say that drugs need to be used for particular indications. People should not self-medicate. People should not unnecessarily take medicine at a different dose of a longer duration than prescribed by the doctor. That's a good principle to follow. But in this particular situation of paracetamol and autism, I don't think that we have the evidence to really claim that one causes the other.
Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, former chief scientist with the World Health Organization, thank you very much for joining us with your thoughts and perspective. Thank you.